Obviously, as we can see by the candidates, it's probably the most historical election of all time. Just for the fact that we have multiple minority candidates with a Latino, African American, and also a woman. So just in that respect, I think it's extremely historical. Obviously, the main quality that everybody looks at is leadership qualities. All those associated with leadership qualities. But I think today, more specifically, I am focused on many of these candidates, their foreign policy issues, seeing that we're at one of the most expensive and most aggressive wars in our nation's history. I think it should be a main priority of all the candidates. So I think experience, especially within that realm, has a large role to play in how I will elect the candidate. Also, I think a main issue is for these people to be able to get the job done. For years, and I think our youth feels this attitude, is that many open promises have been made and that politicians just make these huge goals just for personal aims and to be elected. So we want to see someone that will actually be able to make the promises and fulfill them. From what I've seen so far from the Democrats, I would think they're more focused on change and overall governmental reform. I think that they've sensed the tide of the American public in terms of attitudes towards the Republican Party, and many of their initiatives and policies are aimed at counteracting Republican strategies. Republicans probably would be a little differing from Bush's agenda in terms domestically and foreign policy. But from what I can see, it looks like one of their main issues would possibly be foreign policy and security. Obviously, one of the main front runners, Rudolph Giuliani, his main agenda is pushing his foreign policy initiatives and 9/11-like agenda. Personally, I think that our president, how skeptical it really sounds, I really think that the powers that be here in our country have somewhat control over who gets elected. And I don't think that Hillary Rodham Clinton would run for president if she wasn't going to get elected. And I could pretty much see the ball rolling towards where our country is heading towards and who's putting her in that place. I'm real interested to see what the next leader is going to do in terms of battling the foreign policy issues, because a lot of countries may take this as an advantage to test America. And I think within the next 4 years, you're going to see a huge heat up in terms of foreign policy issues, and that person is going to have to lead us through some difficult times. I think a lot of people just run on talking points, and for instance, healthcare, as you can see, I think it's slightly a talking point for many of the candidates, especially your front runners. We actually need a complete overview and policy reform in terms of healthcare, so we'll see where that goes. In terms of environment, another huge talking point, because it's the hottest issue out right now. I mean, you could sell a 10-day-old cupcake if it has environmental issues linked to it. So I think many of these issues are just talking points, but environment, specifically, we could see that how it's going to affect our future. It's going to affect us as youth. Huge issue with foreign policy in terms of Iraq, finding a timetable, setting up a planned strategy. Obviously, that's critical to the success of a candidate. And also foreign policy issues within just not only within the Middle East, but more specifically within the Middle East are huge. World War III possibly approaching, with Iran situation approaching, it's definitely critical that we address this situation, not letting Iran have nuclear arms and just promoting our general goal of anti-terrorism. One of the main issues that I think that should be addressed, that I don't think is being addressed as fully as it should be, is the situation in Darfur and the situation throughout the world in terms of combating global poverty, combating AIDS, combating the multiple genocides. I'm personally a man of faith and I believe this time in human society that we're almost to a boiling point. And I think that our leadership should reflect such an important time, historically and I think almost personally, biblically. So I think this situation should be addressed, for instance, in Darfur with mass genocide. I just got back from Ghana, West Africa, and I've just seen the disparities in terms of the quality of life in America compared to the quality of life in third world countries. And I think that we could do so much to improve the situation of other countries that we're not doing. So that's one thing I'm looking from a candidate.
Well, Stephen Colbert.
I mean, it obviously is, he has his own personal agenda, but I think what he's trying to bring up is that anybody in this country can run for president, and that there should be a shift in the balance of powers, not just rich white people that are 58 years old can run for president. You know, I think that he's saying that the masses actually can take control over their government and have some sort of say, while at the same time being hilarious. I saw him last night talk about Barack Obama and his grit off. I thought that was quite impressive. I personally support Hillary Clinton. She has probably the most experience, and I'm looking at it in terms of future perspectives, in terms of what she's going to do for the country domestically and for foreign policy issues, and I just think she's a great politician. She knows what to say, when to say it, she knows how to address the people, she knows how to pass legislation and actually get things done. She's probably had one of the most experience in foreign policy out of anybody on the stage. And I think she will be the best face to represent America abroad